The thousand-year-old witch Agatha confronted magic with the gods. The mysterious identity of the Gothic boy is still a mystery. When the witch's song rang out for centuries again, the door opened before everyone's eyes. Was it the door of hope or the door of death? The largest and most cunning witch of all time, Agatha. Not much longer, we start right away. In WandaVision, Agatha wanted to rob Wanda's magic power. Unexpectedly, Wanda, who became the Scarlet Witch, defeated her. Awakened with magic power and erased memories, Agatha was permanently imprisoned in Westview. Agatha is a famous detective in the town of Westview. Not long ago, she was suspended for using violence while performing official duties, but now she was called in for a case. The reason is very simple. Besides Agatha, no one can solve this case. This morning, the precinct received a call. The caller reported a female body on the banks of the stream. On the victim, there was only one thing: a book borrowing card from the Westview Branch Library. The cause of death is due to injury. Additionally, there are signs of heavy crushing. Therefore, this may not be the first crime scene. Agatha found a map in a puddle nearby. She said nothing to her colleagues and quietly put it in her pocket. After that, Agatha went to the library to ask for information. The book borrowing card has no name, but has a date. The book that the victim borrowed was called Dialogue and Eloquence: History, Knowledge, Learning, and Justification. The author is Andrew Hugo. The librarian checked on the computer and discovered the book had never been borrowed because it was stolen 3 years ago. Additionally, the new library had a fire that caused many books to be destroyed. Agatha realized this was intentional. Someone used a flamethrower to burn books, so she asked the police chief to investigate. Additionally, on the unknown body, the soil samples from fingernails and toenails have results. The results showed that the soil did not match the scene. Additionally, there are Legionella microorganisms. This ingredient only appears in residential soil in Eastern Europe. Therefore, the FBI sent Agent Vita to support the case. Although Agatha did not cooperate with Vita, orders could not be refused. Vita said the biggest question of the case was that there were no traces of dragging or footprints of the killer. The body seemed to appear from nowhere. In the afternoon, Agatha examined the magnet found. Manufacturing and material techniques suggest the 17th century, possibly produced in North America or New England. The main material of the magnet is snail shell. The other design on the magnet is the three goddesses: Maiden, Mother, and Crone. Inside the magnet, there is a hidden mechanism holding a curl. At night, Agatha reviewed the existing information. She extracted the floral printed words from the victim's book and discovered a new name: the Darkhold. This book was taken by Wanda in WandaVision. It contains ancient chaos magic. Agatha went home annoyed. She opened the door of a room with a sad face. Inside was a lot of children's furniture, but the bed was unused. Obviously, no one was there. A knock on the door cut across Agatha's thoughts. The one who came was Vita with a large pizza. Agatha thought she came to discuss the case. Vita revealed that she actually had a clue. An hour before the victim died, Eastview had a car accident. The back seat had bloodstains and both airbags had deployed. The owner of the car is most likely the one who dumped the body, but Agatha felt she was going in the wrong direction. As soon as she spoke, a noise suddenly came from upstairs. Agatha went upstairs as someone was planning to rifle through things. The intruder saw he was discovered and jumped through the window to escape. Agatha quickly chased. However, the incident happened so unexpectedly that she couldn't react. She slipped a little way down the stairs. Without saying a word, she plunged after the intruder. This guy was about to climb over the iron fence, but was frightened by a big dog in the backyard. He turned his head to run, but was hit by a car. Agatha told the driver to continue her work. Then she brought the intruder to the station to interrogate. The intruder refused to reveal his identity. He seemed to know a lot about Agatha, constantly provoking her with mocking words. Agatha did not want to spend time with a little boy. "What are you looking for? That path? Which path? Do you mean the new one?" Talking to him was an annoying idea. Agatha frankly asked him, "Where were you from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning?" The intruder answered honestly that at that time he was sleeping. But Agatha did not believe him. "Tell me who she is." "How would I know? What are you saying? These are just flowers." The photos of the case on the table suddenly turned into an image of a garden. The interrogation room also turned into wall paintings. The intruder whispered difficult things, completely ignoring Agatha's question. She was forced to handcuff him and detain him. Agatha began to doubt he had nerve problems. Why did the body image turn into a garden? She drove to the forensic room in Westview to see the unknown body, but the place was closed. Agatha tried to stay calm. She remembered seeing that body. When Agatha recalled details, the body reappeared in the room. Under the sheet, it must be covered with red hair. Agatha picked up the name board. On it clearly showed the red words: October 13th, Wanda Maximoff. That witch has gone, taking the entire Darkhold, leaving Agatha trapped in her own delusion. Obviously, everything happening now was a curse set by the Scarlet Witch to detain Agatha. The previous story was mentioned in WandaVision. There is need to repeat details, and Vita came here to wake Agatha, help her find her name and herself. Agatha, when awake, was very uncomfortable. She rushed to the neighbor's door in her nightgown and asked them how long she had lived in this remote town. The neighbors, along with everyone in the police station, knew the true identity of Agatha. They had been performing with her for 3 years. The scene gradually transformed from a crime film back to reality. Now that they saw her awake, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Agatha tried to use magic, but discovered that her strength was taken by Wanda. At this time, a knock came from the wardrobe. Agatha opened the cabinet. It turned out to be the thief she had captured. Before she could help him remove the wire, the witch Vita broke in. Previously, when Agatha had the Darkhold, Vita could not fight her. But now, with just one finger, Vita was able to defeat her. Agatha, of course, refused to submit. According to witch law, Vita could not kill her, at least not until Agatha regained strength. But besides Vita, there are still many people who want her life. Vita said the Salem 7 are also looking for her. Surely they will come before sunset. After finishing, Vita left the town. The reason the thief came to awaken Agatha was because he wanted to find Zeroth in legend. It is said this road will bring what you desire most, but on the condition that you have to overcome the entire challenge. The thief believes he can go all the way and achieve magic, but Agatha didn't want to be his guide. Seeing that, the thief immediately added that she also needed to borrow the power from that road to restore her magic. If not, when the Salem 7 come, will she be able to resist? These words were reasonable. Agatha asked what the thief's name was, but on him there was a charm preventing her from knowing his real name. Then, call you Tinty. Anyway, Agatha decided to find Zeroth. Because it is called Zeroth, it requires a complete coven. According to the rules of the Witch Association, even if the witches are far away, it is only necessary to create the sigil. When they both talked, they went to a spiritualist's room. Want to try to see if the woman here is a witch? Agatha pretended to be a single mother who lost her husband. She said she came here to talk to her late husband. Hearing that, the female spiritualist began to speak nonsense before the crystal ball. Agatha saw she was talking nonsense, so she was about to leave. Unexpectedly, the spiritualist stopped her. She is being controlled by another person, a person she once hurt. She took away all her strength. Obviously, this woman, Lilia, is a true witch. But Agatha had a bad reputation, so no witch would join her covenant. Agatha went straight to the problem. She explained that she needed to enter the ultimate to regain her lost power, and needed the help of a fortune-telling witch. Lilia replied, I am not stupid. Isn't her power stolen from others? If we succeed on the ultimate, what if she goes back to rob my magic? Agatha was frank. I could not rob her magic unless she attacked me first. As long as we do not exceed each other's limits, both will benefit mutually. Moreover, I found the eviction notice at her shop. She was about to be evicted, right? Instead of fleeing forever, why not join my witch coven? The ultimate can achieve what she wants. Lilia was finally convinced by Agatha and wrote the names of 3 other witches on paper. They could form the coven. Agatha left her business card, telling Lilia to gather at 5 p.m. Done, they went to look for the second witch, Jen. Jen had also lost all her magic. Agatha opened. I am calling for the coven. Need a witch specializing in poison like her. But Jen proved not very interested. At that moment, Tin took out his phone. On the display screen, showing Jen's store. Recently, that place is facing a class action lawsuit. Allegations of fraud and false claims harming customers. Even if the crime was established, the punishment wasn't too heavy. Just a little compensation and 5 years imprisonment. But if she went with them, not only would she find freedom, but also restore her magic. Hearing that, Jen changed her expression. Agatha took the opportunity to give her a business card. Think carefully and come together tonight. Next, Agatha and Tin came to meet the third witch. This time, it was a special person, Alice, the blood of the witch, daughter of the legendary witch Lona. It is rumored Lona died on the road. Currently, Alice is working at a grocery store. Agatha gave a fake name to the intruder. Alice immediately ran to summon security. Agatha enlisted as a buyer, saying that she needed a protective witch. Join us on the road. Her intonation was no different from someone handing out leaflets on the road. But persuading Alice was not easy. Her mother died on the road. Don't you want to know what killed your mother? Alice heard that and immediately got angry and left. Only 2 hours left until sunset, but they had only convinced 2 witches. Agatha insisted on not looking for the last person. Tin had to drive back to his accommodation. A wolf was walking through the door of Agatha's house. Definitely not a good signal. Fortunately, Lilia, Jen, and Alice finally decided to join the appointment. Agatha applauded to prepare for the road. Jen commented, drilling? We lack a linking witch. Tin asked, so who's the last one? Lilia answered, I'm not sure. The magic only made me draw a black heart. Only Agatha knew who that person was, but she clearly didn't want to ask. The Black Heart Girl. To ease her stubborn teammates, Agatha had to find her neighbor to invite her to join the party tonight. Actually, I am Mrs. David. That's right. Singing is the name Wanda gave me. Mrs. David was actually just an actress Wanda hired to deceive Agatha. How could she be the linking witch the coven needed? Therefore, after standing in a circle singing the witch's silent lyrics, the door leading to the ultimate did not open. At the same time, the Salem 7 arrived. In a hurry, they used the door to block the entrance, but the chill was still everywhere. In the basement, Agatha also felt danger. She deliberately scolded the several witches. Unfortunately, Lilia saw through Agatha. The so-called ultimate was a scam. Agatha just wanted to anger people, make them attack her. That way, Agatha could rob Lilia's magic and others. A door suddenly appeared on the ground. Even Agatha was surprised. Unexpectedly, Mrs. David had hidden strength. When did she become a witch and hide it from us? Tin rushed into the basement. He saw the door and didn't hesitate to enter. Seeing Salem 7 about to give chase, the rest couldn't think but rushed through the entrance. After that, the door disappeared. They followed the stairs leading to the ultimate. Agatha led, removed her shoes, and placed them neatly. I have never doubted our abilities. The whole group hadn't gone far when Mrs. David protested. She didn't have to invite me to join the next party. Now this action is called kidnapping. After saying that, she pulled out her phone to call the police. But everyone knew there was no signal here. Coming to this country, all of them were in the same boat. Agatha introduced the ultimate. It will test our understanding of magic. Each capacity has its own challenge. Jen immediately asked, I do not have magic. How do I overcome it? Agatha, there are still solutions. Isn't it manual? The key point of magic is technique. Who are you? I am. Someone had charmed this boy. Charms are simple magic forms containing secrets. It seemed Tin's status was not simple. Agatha knew this, so she kept Tin at her side because he could be very special. When everyone was discussing enthusiastically, Mrs. David suddenly disappeared. The old woman did not believe in magic. She believed this tunnel was just a relic of a failed public transport system. As soon as she sat down to rest, the bag next to her began to sink. Stop! God, no! People heard the screams of the old lady. They rushed to pull her out of the swamp. Agatha warned the group not to leave the road. At this time, Jen suddenly looked forward. At the end of the glittering road, a large house appeared with a moon engraved on the door. Mrs. David went forward to press the doorbell. Seeing that, Agatha immediately entered the door. Others also followed. The house was decorated clean and cozy. As soon as they entered, the group's outfits also changed. Tin observed this space. It feels like middle-aged people finding second love. After checking, they discovered all windows couldn't be opened. On the hearth, there was an invitation. On it was written, "The Path of the Witch respectfully invites you to participate in the first challenge." Behind it was a puzzle. "My age is valuable. I'm not happy alone. I can control your mind." Everyone pondered. Mrs. David immediately said, "Wine." Looking back, there was indeed wine on the table. Tin searched for bottle-opening tools in the closet. Jen followed, whispering a reminder. He should be careful with Agatha. There are rumors that she was willing to use her own child in exchange for the book from the god. No one knows what happened to that child. Someone said he might have died. Others say he became Mephisto's minion. Tin knew Agatha was very dangerous, but she was the one who understood the most about the road. After pouring wine, the other witches did not dare to drink immediately. Only Mrs. David was the first to drink. It must be said she really had the talent to be a witch. As soon as David had just finished drinking, the electronic clock beside her started counting backwards. Others who saw that also took the glass of wine to sip. Meanwhile, Agatha took advantage when people didn't notice, secretly poured her alcohol into a vase. After that, she put the empty glass on the closet. But strangely, the glass refilled itself. At this time, Mrs. David was drunk. She said strongly, "If I could fade wrinkles on my face, then drinking fake alcohol or becoming a witch, I was ready." As soon as she said it, Mrs. David suddenly had a shiny face like injected with filler. Wrinkles on her face disappeared completely. This proved the wine was problematic. The remaining witches quickly claimed they felt like pigs. Saying that, I don't really hate it. Jen, being a poison witch, tried to find out what toxin was in the wine. She immediately asked Mrs. David, "Do you feel any other uncomfortable feeling? For example, itchy throat, or hearing common sounds and children crying?" Before Mrs. David answered, their faces returned to normal. Agatha also breathed slightly. Just now, she always covered her face, afraid of being discovered she didn't drink alcohol. Jen realized the changes disappeared too quickly. She guessed they had encountered the curse of the wine goddess. The face was just the beginning. Next would be dizziness, delirium, loss of motor function, then hallucinations leading to death. Agatha heard that and immediately tried to break the window to flee. Jen said that if they were poisoned, running was useless. Unexpectedly, she discovered a full glass of wine on the closet and knew Agatha hadn't drunk. She criticized Agatha for cheating. The witch team had to overcome the challenge together. Agatha was cornered, but still eloquent, saying that believing is not drinking. Jen pointed out that Tin wasn't a member of the witch team, and, moreover, he wasn't old enough to drink alcohol. Agatha heard that and smashed the glass to end the problem. But the curse was the curse. Alice lifted a glass that was dry on the table, and red wine filled it. Tin said, "If she will not drink, let me drink." Agatha snatched it from him, and then jerked the glass and drank it, the attitude very interested in Tin. At this time, Mrs. David started to see hallucinations. She called Wanda twice and fell unconscious. This challenge was obviously dedicated to Jen, the poison witch. She needed to prepare the antidote before the clock counted down. An antidote to the wine goddess's revenge needed aromatic plastic, intestines of true social insects, and a creature that decomposed 30 million years ago. In other words, it was plankton stored in oil. Everyone quickly split up to collect raw materials. Agatha and Lilia went to the garage to find gasoline, but inside was empty. They had to go upstairs to search for cosmetics, hoping to find organic compounds. On the other side, Alice and Tin smelled the scent of cool essential oil. But before Alice could act, the side effects of the toxin began to appear. She saw white smoke rising from the front room, so she pushed the door in. Unexpectedly, Alice's mother, Luna, was sitting in front of the makeup mirror. She cried and told her daughter, "Your grandmother passed today." Despite thousands of miles apart, the mother still felt the moment she took her last breath. "Now it's my turn. I can't protect you anymore." Tin heard the sound and ran to support Alice. He said he had found aromatic plastic essential oil. Meanwhile, other witches also began to see hallucinations. Jen saw a man in a lab coat. The angered man criticized that she was an annoying person. After that, he pressed her down into a full water tank. When Jen tried to gasp, that illusion disappeared. Lilia now saw a lovely girl. She followed the girl into the next corridor. The surrounding walls were full of ancient vines, looking extremely old. Lilia went to a room, seeing a skinny old woman and a skeleton wearing a black round hat. She feared a few steps back and touched Agatha behind her. Fortunately, the illusion just disappeared. Meanwhile, Tin and Alice brought fragrant plastic to Jen. Then they found the intestines of social insects in food cabinets, but it was actually just honey. At that moment, Agatha and Lilia returned. Suddenly, the living room glass shattered. Salt water from outside flooded in. It seemed they were trapped at the bottom of the sea. This glass probably wouldn't hold for long. Jen quickly turned the sink into a large pot. She added the ingredients in turn. The liquid in the tank began to glow lightly. But Jen forgot something important. She did not know how to make the water boil. Fortunately, Tin had an idea. In the kitchen, usually there is a slow cooker. This is a trendy cooking device. It can heat water to specific temperatures and cook more evenly. Next, each person spat a hair into the mixture. Agatha heard the sound of children crying. It seemed she also fell into an illusion. Agatha moved towards the cradle, emitting a cry. When the blanket lifted, inside was a death book. Agatha couldn't help but burst into tears. Fortunately, Jen promptly woke her. Agatha immediately regained calm, used a hair, and threw it into the water tank. Everyone held hands around the sink and thought, "We have to survive. If the drug is right, the water will turn blue. Am I confusing blue and green-yellow? If not blue, it is useless." Jen saw that and started to panic. She certainly forgot something important. The remaining time was only 50 seconds. The more Jen panicked, the more she couldn't think of it. If it was before, I just needed to perform magic to finish. Agatha held Jen's tightening hand, helping her regain her composure. They may take her magic, but cannot take away knowledge about herbal medicine. In an endangered situation, Jen finally remembered. She forgot a component, the fresh blood of a person not poisoned. The water in the tank immediately turned blue. People tried to suppress the feeling of revulsion and drank each glass of medicine. A few seconds later, they remembered Mrs. David. They quickly gave her medicine to drink. At that moment, the clock reached 0. The door of the oven next to them suddenly opened. It seemed this was the way out. Lilia began, "I don't want to miss the oven." The words were uneasy. The glass behind exploded. Seawater flooded in like pouring. They didn't say anything more and rushed into the oven, of course not forgetting to bring Mrs. David. They were like playing on a water slide, sliding along the water flow to an empty land. But Mrs. David, due to taking the medicine late, did not survive. Tin started to dig a hole to bury her on the spot. People were afraid that Alice would be touched, but she explained, "My mother died not because of the witch, but in a fire on tour." Alice joined the journey with Agatha because her mother told her before her death. Agatha had to go through the witch trials. The death of Mrs. David made the witch group lack a linking member. Lacking a person, they couldn't overcome the challenge. Agatha decided to break the law and tried to summon another linker. They stood in line and recited the mantra together, giving enough bizarre requirements. For example, the new person should be a bit smart, it must look beautiful, and not too interested in politics. After a while, Vida crawled from the ground. Agatha saw that and got a headache. But coming to this country, they couldn't return her. They continued to follow the only road ahead and saw a small house. But Alice suddenly refused to come in. She didn't want to enter that house and tried to turn another direction. But the house quickly changed position. Clearly, whether they entered or not did not depend on her. The door this time also had a moon, and it was a disabled page. When they entered, the costumes changed. The theme this time was like 80s disco style. In the house, there were many instruments. It was very likely this was a recording studio. Despite the experience from the previous time, people decided not to drink anything. Vida suggested finding an invitation around because there might be a new puzzle. Lilia stood in front of the mural alone, not knowing what she thought, tears falling short and long. In another corner, Alice also saw her mother's image on the wall. In short, this house was emitting a strange atmosphere. Vida tried to approach Agatha. She didn't know anything about the witch trials and tried to convince Agatha to kill them, just like they used to do before. You take the magic, I take the body. But Agatha secretly turned on the microphone in the recording room, and all Vida's calculations were exposed. She refused Vida clearly, causing other witches to get angry and want to handle Vida. However, shortly thereafter, a sound pierced ears. It turned out Tin had turned on noisy music because, "I found the paper, let me turn it on." The music was the article of the witch, but for some reason it was backward. Agatha couldn't turn off the music. They had to smash the transmitter. The house returned to quiet, leaving only the metronome on the piano. Clearly, the challenge had begun, but there was nothing challenging around them. Until Alice spoke. Do people find their body lighter? People stopped because no one felt that. But shortly after, Lilia fell down, shouting as if suffering terrible pain. Alice hurriedly drew a circle around Lilia to break the curse. But shortly after that, Jen also went down in pain. Alice continued to do the same. Those hit by the curse had symbols appear on their shoulders. After that, the backward music continued to play. Alice didn't know what to think, suddenly became emotional. She repeated, "I couldn't save her." Then, along her shirt, she revealed an old scar. Her mother also had similar scars. In witchcraft, this is called the hereditary curse. As soon as he finished, Tin was also attacked by the curse. But he wasn't a member of the Witch Association, so he was hit with a stream of power. How to solve the hereditary curse? Alice looked at the recording device on the piano. Agatha immediately guessed her thoughts. We have to perform the song of Lona's witch. Her version is different from the original. Lona wanted to achieve something from the witch trials? What purpose did she have? To save your daughter. It turned out that Alice was also present at the scene of the fire that year. She should have been burned, but now still survived, thanks to Lona using the witch's path as a protective mantra that silently protected Alice. Therefore, if the Witch Association wanted to save themselves, they must perform the post-witch song. People quickly found the right musical instruments, then started performing the song. Meanwhile, Agatha manifested a curse symbol, but was quickly suppressed by the song. However, the strength of the curse also increased. Fire suddenly burned around them. Agatha shouted, "Don't make mistakes, show the sigils." Sparks flew from the witch's hands. Alice entered the chorus as the fire burst and quickly saw the true shape of the cursed demon. Alice stared at it and continued to sing, emitting extremely powerful energy, ignoring the demon standing on her shoulder. Finally, she defeated it and overcame the challenge. The piano opened to reveal the next path. But Tin fell down to the ground, many strange wounds appearing on him. And Agatha became particularly out of control. The cold-hearted person like her was afraid for Tin. Jen, being the poison witch, quickly healed the wounds for Tin. After the challenges, Jen's capacity had made great progress. Everyone decided to rest on the spot, waiting for Tin to wake. Jen also talked about the reason for her loss of magic. She was the 11th generation of the Y family line. She was invited to join a new obstetrics association in Boston to share professional knowledge. Who would have thought the so-called association was just a trap? The head took Jen's magic power. Agatha did not participate in this confession. She just sat next to the unconscious Tin. Soon, Tin also woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, Lilia asked, "Was the curse on me because she did it?" In fact, even Agatha couldn't confirm, because Mephisto also works with witches. But the good news is that after a certain time, Mephisto's mark will automatically disappear. No need to know the name to still understand a person. Be careful, no need to say good words to me. Vita seemed to understand the reason why Agatha treated Tin. She did not forget to remind, that boy was not hers. Does Agatha see Tin as her son? The scene moved to 1693. Agatha was tied to the column for trial for betraying the witches. But she suddenly exploded with strength, killing many other witches in just one blow. Although killing the witch sisters, Agatha softly spared the children. These children, wanting to avenge their mothers, formed a strong and united witch coven, the Salem Seven. At this time, Salem 7 is following the trace to chase Agatha. Lilia felt their presence. The spell that the main group used to summon the coven had accidentally lured Salem 7 here. Without time, they had to run away quickly. This time, witches' brooms were the only option. Although this is really useful, it has been negatively portrayed through films. Everyone was a little afraid to ride them. But in a survival situation, beggars can't be choosers. When Tin was about to take a broom, Salem 7 suddenly appeared. One quickly turned into a witch and rushed at him. Alice used magic to beat the opponent. The group took advantage of the opportunity to climb and escape the scene. The witches glided over the red moon. The feeling of free flying was really memorable. But soon, they lost balance, pulled back to the ground by Zeroth. When the group almost hit a member of Salem 7, this person opened his mouth and spat out a golden bee. Agatha took the lead attacking the opponent, then rushed gold into the third challenging house. Tomorrow, Salem 7 could not penetrate here. The main group just needed to overcome the challenge, then quickly escape before they caught up. This time, the challenge was for Agatha. Outside the window hung a blood moon. This is the time when the world is living and the veil is thinnest. At that moment, a game on the table suddenly appeared. Tin looked carefully and realized it was a Ouija board. Shortly thereafter, clocks in the hands of everyone began to move backward. Agatha opened the instruction book of the game. The first rule, do not play alone. The second rule, do not speak at the same time. The third rule, do not summon a soul. The fourth rule, do not ask about the substance. The fifth rule, when it ends, definitely say goodbye. The sixth rule, no matter what happens, hands do not leave the planchette. If not, you will release the soul. After reading the rules, everyone sat around the table, all put their hands on the planchette. Agatha carefully asked the first question. Please tell us who we have recovered. Shortly thereafter, the planchette began to move. The answer it gave was D-A-V-I. Agatha shook her head frantically as if entered. Oh my God, this is a spectacular journey. Lilia was ignited by the scene. Fortunately, Vita promptly traced the truth that made Agatha stop performing. Agatha was sat down by the group, and the whole group continued the Ouija session. This time, the upper light flashed. The atmosphere became tense. Agatha asked what the board wanted. Everyone's fingers slipped over the letters, finally spelling P-U-P-U. Who do you want to punish? Stop it. Okay, no need to graft anymore. Everyone knows Agatha. But the board started to move frantically, even flying around the room. The jarring sound caused the whole group aches. Jen shouted, "Punish Agatha!" Those words made the planchette calm back. It seemed they had to punish Agatha to pass this challenge. It was fitting. Everyone in the room, except for Tin, had more or less conflict with Agatha. But when Agatha came back, she saw the planchette flying, and the room was also in the dark. Something dripped on Tin. He looked up to see Agatha's bruised face. Right later, she seemed to be thrown by a demon onto the floor. The atmosphere suddenly turned into a horror movie. Seeing Agatha was about to rush at Tin, Jen immediately spoke up, but didn't expect Agatha to strangle her. Alice hurriedly rushed to help, and Lilia struggled to turn on the light. As soon as the lights came on, Agatha also disappeared. An unexpected white ghost appeared. That was Yvonne Nora Harkness, a resident of Salem, also the mother of Agatha. Yvonne is the leader of the witch group who wanted to kill her biological daughter. Now she wants everyone to leave Agatha and continue the road journey. Upon hearing that, Agatha walked in front of her mother. She did not understand why she came first, and she still could not forgive her. I was born a devil. I should have killed you from the moment I had life. Jen thought that she should not be involved in family matters. Anyway, the person who issued the article agreed to let them leave, not necessarily drag Agatha. This was just a temporary team, each person for their own goals. Yvonne saw the agreement was reached and entered the girl's body. Alice immediately rushed to stop, but didn't expect her power to be absorbed by Agatha. At the most endangered time, Tin moved the planchette back to the original position. He hurriedly asked who is the one who just came. She answered, N-I-C-I. Hearing that name, Agatha suddenly woke up, but Alice died. Agatha could not justify. She tried to explain that she could not control her capacity. But this time, even Tin did not believe Agatha anymore. He even doubted that from the beginning Agatha intended to appropriate the strength of the witches. A team that was not united now grew more fractured. Tin spoke before the painful problem. Is it like this? Because of her purpose, she did not hesitate to kill her teammates? I would never become like her. Are you sure? You are like your mother. As soon as he finished speaking, Jen and Lilia hurriedly grabbed Agatha and threw her into the swamp. The eyes of the two of them flashed with blue light. Strange action. Tin unexpectedly broke free, pushing both into the swamp. About Tin's status, go back 3 years ago. On his 18th birthday, his real name was William. His parents held a maturity ceremony for him in the Jewish tradition. In the middle of the party, William sneaked into the fortune-telling area to know in advance of his future. Unexpectedly, the fortune-teller was Lilia. She saw in him the image of the tower inverted, which referred to upheaval. Therefore, she wrote a charm for identity protection, sneaking it into William's jacket. The charm also immediately worked. Lilia also forgot everything that had just happened. Not long after, everyone at the party received a message. Westview had an abnormal phenomenon. People had to immediately return home. William accidentally followed her parents to the car and felt the charm in his vest pocket. He saw in the sky over Westview a huge red dome covering the entire area, the battlefield between Agatha and Wanda. The father who was driving was also affected by this phenomenon. He quickly steered and crashed into a tree to stop the car. William, sitting in the back seat, was seriously injured, bleeding constantly. At this moment, a police car drove across. The father rushed to the road to ask for help. William fell unconscious. In a vague state, he heard Wanda's voice and 2 children, Tommy and Billy, saying goodbye. The next moment, William woke up. William had passed away. His body was now Billy's residence. At this moment, the father led a police officer. That female police officer was the protective witch, Alice. Billy was taken to the ER, gradually realizing he was inhabiting another's body, inhabiting the body of a stranger. Fortunately, the ability to read thoughts was still there. To avoid suspicion, Billy pretended he had lost his memory after the accident. But he could read the sadness of William's parents. This couple was very worried their son couldn't remember the past. Therefore, Billy decided to try to play the role of William well. 3 years passed as a blink of an eye. Billy was accustomed to William's life and still met his friend Eddie. Billy did not want to hide the truth about himself from Eddie, so he honestly said that after the accident, another soul was in his body. 3 years of life looked fake, plus the impact of the charm. Billy no longer distinguished who he really was. Eddie was the one who easily accepted the truth. He did not doubt these seemingly bizarre claims. Billy led Eddie into the bedroom. Over the years, he had always collected information to understand what happened in Westview 3 years ago. Billy turned on the computer and tuned into Jen's skin channel, then opened a video by a passerby capturing the red dome 3 years ago. On the dome clearly appeared chaos symbols, proving the dome was related to magic. Billy found a person who knew about it on an online forum and decided to take a risk to meet that person. Eddie was worried, so she went with Billy. Both came to an underground parking lot, waiting a long time to meet the contact person. The one who came was Ralph Boner, the one who was manipulated by Agatha as Pietro in WandaVision. Ralph, since the event that year, had become shy and panicky. He mentioned Wanda with two children, Billy and Tommy, one a super speed person, the other a telepath. Hearing this, Billy began to vaguely guess his identity. Additionally, Ralph also mentioned that Agatha was still imprisoned at Westview. Billy returned home and started looking for all information related to Agatha, and noticed Zeroth. At that moment, the music player next to him suddenly played Zeroth performed by Lona. Billy felt his fate was calling him to enter this dangerous road. The book writes that by reaching the end of Zeroth, you can find lost things. Because Ralph misunderstood Wanda and Vision had died, Billy also thought his parents were gone. He decided to enter Zeroth to find his only remaining relative, Tommy. Billy drove to Westview at night. On the way, Eddie sent a message with a black heart symbol mentioning Billy. This symbol coincided with Lilia's previous prediction of the last member of the Witch Coven. Because the spell did not allow the name Billy, Lilia drew a black heart to replace it. This means from beginning to end, Billy was a member of the group. In contrast, Vita was the unknown person. Back to the story. When Billy found Agatha in Westview, she was still affected by Wanda's spell and thought she was just a normal female cop. To solve Wanda's spells, Billy needed to find an Agatha's personal item. Then, the Billy case involved the transmission pendant and the events that happened in the previous episodes. An important thing to note, when Agatha asked Billy's identity, whether he answered William Kaplan or honestly said Billy Maximoff, the identity protection charm was effective. After that, the story returns to the current time. Agatha, pushed down by Billy, quickly climbed out with a branch. She hurriedly took off the mud-covered coat and wiped the mud layer on her face. Billy also looked at the identity charm. Actually, Agatha had long suspected Billy and Wanda had very similar temperaments, until Billy used their magic. Agatha finally confirmed that Billy was the son of Wanda. She admired his ability to soulcast, always seizing every opportunity to continue living. That was a true witch. Agatha didn't bother to care about the teammates thrown down the swamp, but invited Billy to complete the road. "I don't need you anymore. Actually, I think I never needed her," Billy said while using magic. But in the past, it was only due to emotions. Like a blind cat catching a fried fish, he accidentally activated strength. Billy had not really mastered how to use magic. Agatha silently guessed Billy's purpose in entering the road. Because Agatha also did not know Wanda was alive, she immediately speculated Billy wanted to search for Tommy. Currently, both of them had their own purposes, and Billy had not been able to use magic reliably, so he agreed to go with Agatha. Agatha tried to smooth the relationship between the two and told Billy to ask some curious questions. She would answer everything. Billy asked where Vita went. Agatha said that question could not be answered and told him to ask another. "I used to be your mother's best friend, so I knew a lot of hot things about Wanda." Unexpectedly, Billy replied, "Wanda, not my mother. I had my mother." It seemed Billy disagreed with the way Wanda saved the whole town, but had to sacrifice the whole family. But he still couldn't help but ask Agatha, was Wanda really good? Agatha avoided the question and did not answer clearly. While talking, the two went to the fourth castle. As soon as they entered, they immediately changed outfits into the classic style of Salem witches. In the middle of the room, a tarot deck. Billy was about to pick it up, and the clock behind suddenly started moving backwards. Unexpectedly, tarot was the challenge this time. Billy was just a novice. He put a card in the wrong slot. Unexpectedly, a sharp sword fell from the ceiling. The two of them now discovered the ceiling held dozens of swords. If the fortune-telling continued wrong, the swords would turn them into pincushions. Billy worriedly placed the second card. As a result, another sword fell, almost stabbing Billy. Agatha had a simple thought: just continue to try until the card is placed in the right position or until the ceiling runs out of swords. But this method was obviously not effective, because when all 6 slots were full, the ceiling started to lower. Billy exclaimed, "If only Lilia's here!" Meanwhile, Lilia and Jen were rising in a secret room. Lilia asked curiously, "Where are we going?" Jen heard that and was even more confused. "Didn't you say we had to go through the tunnel to find star bookshelves? You also said the main one was Billy, Wanda's son?" It turned out Lilia's consciousness was lying. She had stepped into another time and saw herself in royal costume falling into darkness. This caused her to lose part of her memory and forget what was said to Jen earlier. Jen also felt like Lilia became another person after only 5 minutes. Lilia tried to refute, but her consciousness continued to jump through time. She saw Alice still alive and immediately reminded her. Shortly thereafter, Lilia's consciousness returned to her homeland hundreds of years ago. Her fortune-telling teacher sat opposite. The body that Lilia saw in the first round was her younger self. Although Lilia was now trapped in her younger body, the teacher still realized she came from a distant place. Lilia frankly admitted she came from 100 years later. Hearing that, the teacher still calmly continued the lesson, asking Lilia to use fortune-telling to reveal future fate. Lilia was hesitant, not wanting to use it, because seeing an unchangeable future was suffering. At this time, she looked into the teacup, but her consciousness immediately returned to the tunnel. Jen saw Lilia sometimes vague, sometimes awake, and asked what happened all the time. Lilia was forced to admit that since childhood she had lived in chaos. Her consciousness always moved between her timelines. Initially, this situation improved when she grew up, but closer to the end, it worsened. Jen thought Lilia was talking about the road's ending point. "Will your magic be restored?" "I'm not sure I want that." Instead of controversy, the urgency was to overcome the challenge. Billy couldn't help it and asked Lilia, "You put the charm on me, right?" Lilia did not hide. She acknowledged that at the adult ceremony that night, she saw what would happen to Billy and the changes in the future. She felt Billy needed time to adapt, so she painted the charm. As soon as she finished speaking, 2 more swords fell. Obviously, not putting cards or putting them wrong was punished. Lilia wanted to know where she was wrong, but her consciousness immediately returned to round 3 when the sound was fine. When Lilia opened her eyes, she was back hundreds of years ago. "Please tell me how to control what is about to happen." "My mission is not to control, it is to observe." As soon as she finished, she returned to the tunnel. At that time, Lilia had just talked to Jen about her time jumps. Seeing Lilia in such a state, Jen guessed she had just gone through one, so she asked, "Do you have any new information? Do you know what the next challenge is?" "It is tarot fortune telling." "Why didn't you say?" "Because she herself told me." At that moment, Lilia picked up Billy's lost notebook, and she quietly took it away. Jen, not knowing anything, suddenly asked why when she grew up her chaotic situation decreased. Lilia said frankly, "Because I didn't want this ability, I always ignored it." From afar, Agatha's voice. They had discovered a bookshelf ahead. At this time, back with Agatha and Billy, they discovered the ceiling was lowering. Lilia and Jen entered the castle. Billy thought they would be angry about the swamp, but didn't expect Lilia to get angry only once. Now she went straight to the problem and helped Billy with fortune-telling. She told him to ask the most important question. "Am I William or Billy?" The question had just been asked. The ceiling immediately stopped. Lilia also began to introduce tarot. The 7 card slots correspond to meanings. In the middle is the Traveler, symbolizing Billy's identity. The front is the lost object, symbolizing the reason for Billy's quest. The upper left is the path behind, symbolizing damage and lessons learned. The upper right is the road ahead, symbolizing maturity and exploration. On the left is an obstacle. On the right is unexpected harvest. Finally, in the middle, a card will be arranged, symbolizing the destination. After the introduction, Lilia told Billy to eliminate thoughts and focus on the mentioned question. He pulled the Magician. This card symbolizes infinite potential and the ability to turn targets into reality. However, when putting the card down, a sword fell. Lilia did not flinch, continued to request Billy draw the next card. The second card about lost objects, he pulled the Sun. This card symbolizes luck, joy, and reunion. Obviously, this is what Billy is hoping for. Lacking. But another sword fell. Billy did not hesitate, continued to draw the card for the path behind, the Hanged Man. "No, release me." Lilia spent 3 times. Without pausing, she said 3 different lines. "Persevering is, starting we really hated each other, but now I love you." She returned hundreds of years ago and asked her aunt what was wrong this time. The teacher asked Lilia back, why did she enter the witch trials? Lilia answered, to regain magic, but the aunt knew it wasn't the real reason. "You are a woman who is forgotten, so you keep yourself forgotten? What does it mean to remember?" Lilia hated most to recall. Hundreds of years ago, she knew the teacher's death. The whole witch association would disappear because of a plague. But she was not able to change the future, could only helplessly watch people leave. The teacher heard that and told Lilia, "Everyone has to die sooner or later. They will come to me eventually. Before falling completely, think carefully what you want to do with the rest." Lilia understood everything. She immediately returned to the moment she had just fallen into the tunnel and told everything she knew to Jen without hiding anything. That was also the reason from the beginning. Jen knew the challenges, Billy's identity, and information about bookshelves. At this time, in front of them were 2 roads, one path leading to Zereth, one path leading to the tunnel to the bookshelf. Suddenly, silhouettes of Salem 7 passed. They were also looking for Agatha's whereabouts. The 2 waited until Salem 7 left. Lilia decided to save Agatha by completing the 4th challenge for her. "I hope you will join me." Finally, Jen decided to take a risk with Lilia. Lilia's consciousness returned to the divination table. In this challenge, the fortune teller was not Billy, but Lilia. She pulled the first card representing her identity. "I am the Queen of Cups." Lilia put the Queen's card in the slot. The sword did not fall down anymore, but the ceiling continued to squeeze down. Next is the missing card. She pulled the 3 of Pentacles. Lilia saw that. The scene was forced to join Agatha's group for running out of rent. The interpretation, social cooperation, and unique voice are harmonious. Only the coven will be established. The 3rd card, representing the lesson from the past, the Knight of Wands. The 4th card, representing development, the High Priestess. The card explained, great spiritual strength, but not yet, or not wanting to use it. The 5th card, representing obstacles, the 3 of Swords. Interpretation, broken heart, pain, and loss. The 6th card, representing unexpected results, the Tower reversed. Lilia recalled meeting William at his adult ceremony. All the stories began from here. Interpretation, disaster, destruction, and miraculous transformation. Finally, the destination card, Death. Lilia's consciousness returned to the moment she was in the tunnel. A shadow slowly stepped out. That was the death god, Vita. The card referred to Lilia eventually facing death. The cards complete, the ceiling began to raise. Lilia asked Agatha, "Is Vita a death god?" By this time, Agatha could only admit it. At that moment, from afar echoed Salem 7's voices. Lilia hurriedly urged everyone to leave and told Agatha a strange sentence. "When they call her a coward, lie down." Shortly thereafter, Lilia returned the notebook to Billy and was about to stay to confront Salem 7. People who overcome the challenge without leaving will face unhappiness. Lilia flipped the tower reversed card. The whole space immediately turned upside down. Salem 7 were pushed to the ceiling and were held there. Finally, Lilia let go, finishing her fall. She found herself and filled the space. Now is the time to talk to the spirit of death, Vida. The scene moved to the wooden house in the third challenge. Alice woke from her dream, discovering her body was dead. Vida was preparing to take her away. Alice didn't understand. Why do I only have this little time? Who would have thought Vida's words would wake the dreamer? She is not a protective witch. Substantially, protecting others is her duty. Hearing that, Alice finally accepted death and followed Vida into the underworld. After handling Alice's soul, Vida also had to recover the souls of Lilia and Salem 7. Vida looked at the pile of souls. Should be happy? But she could not stand Agatha tricking her, intentionally hiding Billy's identity. Vida wanted to know what this guy came to the road for. Agatha confessed that Billy wanted to find Tommy. Vida said that Tommy's soul was not in the underworld. The Scarlet Witch's son escaped the cycle. I could not let Billy use that trick to revive Tommy. Agatha replied, so she killed him? But the problem is that Vida cannot kill Billy. If he dies, the soul will reincarnate and disappear into the Sea of Souls. The only way is to make Billy voluntarily surrender to death. Agatha thought and agreed to help Vida, but the condition was, after completion, Vida must not follow her. Until Agatha naturally goes, both are not allowed to meet again. Vida hesitated and agreed to cooperate. She lifted the curtain and disappeared from Zerith. The other three gathered and continued the journey. But when Vida left, their group lost a linking witch. Agatha said, Poison Witch and Earth Magic Witch are quite similar. Jen is enough. After saying that, she stumbled on shoes on the ground. The three suddenly returned to the starting point. The shoes they took off at the head were right in front of them. Perhaps Zerith is a circle. The starting point is also the end. Zerith does not follow any rules. Billy didn't want to wait anymore. After saying that, he put his shoes back on. The result was they were immediately shifted into a bag. All three came to a closed space with strange designs. They wore patient clothes. This was probably the last challenge. The core of green magic is the cycle of life, development, and continuous decay. In this space, there were lamps growing at the top. That meant this challenge was to create life in a place without water and earth. When all the lamps went out, the time to overcome the challenge would be gone. Jen was completely calm, different from usual, because she wanted to continue Lilia's will, help people overcome the final challenge. Agatha couldn't help but laugh. A witch without magic thinks she can save us? Jen still hated the Boston doctor who claimed her magic. She talked about the incident of being robbed in the past. Unexpectedly, Agatha's face changed when hearing that. Jen realized her expression and immediately understood. Agatha was the doctor. She immediately touched the opponent's head. Magic also immediately returned to Jen's body. After 100 years, she felt the long-lost power. Jen couldn't help her tears. Billy was about to congratulate her when Jen suddenly disappeared. Agatha explained. She found her lost power. Of course, she left the road. Agatha immediately thought, if I want magic and Billy has magic, if Billy transmits magic to me, everything will be resolved. Billy immediately interrupted Agatha's thought circuit. For her, everything is fine, but I will have to stay here and wait for death. Looking at the upper lamps slowly turning off, Agatha suddenly told Billy, I know how to find Tommy. She told Billy to sit down beside her, then guided him to use magic to feel the world. Billy vaguely saw a drowning boy. The poor boy was bullied and drowning in water, soon would be dead. Agatha, kill this dim guy? My brother will be risen again? Finally, Tommy's soul was placed in the body of the boy. Billy fulfilled his wish and left Zeroth. Unexpectedly, Agatha still sacrificed herself to save Billy? Agatha removed the necklace she always carried. She took out a hair of her son. Unexpectedly, a miracle happened immediately. In the necklace, there was a dandelion seed, and under the crack on the ground was fertile soil. She watered the seed with tears and buried it. The dandelion quickly germinated and bloomed in the last light of the lamp. Shortly thereafter, the flower cracked into the dungeon room. Agatha hurriedly crawled up the stairs, getting out from the backyard of her house. Vida, because of Agatha's promise, was waiting nearby to announce she would take Agatha's soul. Agatha was about to take action, but discovered her magic had not recovered. The town of Westview once again appeared anomalous. The populace was extremely confused. Agatha wanted to draw a sigil to chase away the death god, but Vida is the spirit, the natural order of all things. A small sigil could not repel her. She is a coward. When she is called cowardly, bow down. Although Lilia's prophecy helped Agatha avoid immediate death, without magic she was absolutely no match for Vida. During the danger, Billy arrived. He also wore a classic outfit from the comics. Billy knew he could not beat Vida, so he took the initiative to attack Agatha, hoping she could absorb part of his magic. This was no different than putting his life in Agatha's hands. As her power gradually recovered, Agatha shone as brightly as the old days. And this time she kept the promise, letting go before Billy was drained. Vida saw that and immediately attacked Agatha, focusing on her. Billy watched the battle through the greenhouse glass, only seeing colorful light flashing outside. It seemed the film crew ran out of funds for effects. Although Agatha fought deeply, she still couldn't win against the death god. Billy rushed to check her condition. Agatha said Vida only wanted one of them, and the person worthy was her. Billy sounded so touched. He stood out to tell the god, "Take me away. I was ready to sacrifice myself." Who would have thought Agatha heard that, wiped blood, and said to Vida, "I did not break my promise. Now Billy voluntarily surrenders to death. You can take him away." Billy seemed crushed. Actually, Agatha was ready to sacrifice to save him, but if she had the opportunity to survive, prioritizing herself was her nature. Agatha is originally a complex character, both genuine and evil. She laughed for a few seconds, and then prepared to leave. Suddenly, Billy used telepathy to ask her, "His son, Nicholas, is the same, right?" The question that touched her soul finally broke Agatha's principle. In the end, she rushed into the arms of the spirit, ending a long life. Agatha fell to the ground, turning into plants. Billy walked over, picked up her pendant, left the town of Westview, and returned to William's house. Now only 24 hours had passed since he left. Billy returned to the room, changing clothes. Suddenly, he realized the familiar layout. Everything corresponded to what was in the road. Billy recalled Agatha's words, "That changing road does not exist." And the card identifying him drew the magician, turning the target into reality. Billy looked at the wall painting similar to the house in the first round, the game on the table that had appeared in the road, and the shoes placed on the table. He was like his mother. The chaotic magic of Wanda was capable of changing reality. Billy was really like his mother. The so-called The Road was what he unconsciously created with his own strength. At this time, the story suddenly returned to the year 1750. Agatha was then pregnant full-term, struggling to give birth in the middle of the forest. But instead of the child, the death god Vida appeared again. That meant Agatha's baby would be stillborn. She hurriedly begged the god. Vida couldn't change fate. But because she pitied Agatha, she broke the rules to save the fetus. Finally, Agatha gave birth to a healthy boy. She named the boy Nicholas. Loved the child with all her heart. Thanks to the image of a poor mother, she continued to harm kind witches to steal their magic to help him. By the time Nicholas was 6, he knew how to coordinate with his mother to lure witches into traps. But young Nicholas still did not understand why she killed those witches. Agatha coldly explained, "It was because of survival. If you don't kill them, they will find a way to kill us." Nicholas did not understand the deep meaning. The boy only hummed his own melody, and this melody was the precursor of Zeroth. As Nicholas grew up, Agatha's fear grew bigger. She didn't know when Vida would come to claim Nicholas. Agatha treasured every day with her son. She also helped Nicholas put words to the melody. The mother and son completed Zeroth together. Agatha instructed Nicholas to pretend to be an orphaned child coming to a nearby pub to make money and lure witches to kill. But Nicholas did not want to continue hunting them anymore. He ran away from the pub, ruining the plan. That night, he realized his mother seemed angry. He promised that tomorrow he would kill more witches. But Agatha did not scold, only lulled her son to sleep. Unbeknownst to him, that day was Nicholas's fateful day. Vida stood in the dark, waved to the boy. Nicholas kissed his mother twice, then took the hand of the forest god. When the first sun shone on the ground, Agatha startled awake from a nightmare to discover Nicholas cold in her arms. She cried miserably while storing her son, singing Zeroth, and putting a curl of his hair in the transferred pendant. Suddenly, a strange woman appeared to ask Agatha if she knew where Zeroth was. Agatha's expression changed from confused to understanding. It turned out the song, after many years, had spread and was considered the key to opening Zeroth. There were women who believed the lyrics, thinking Zeroth would bring attractive rewards. Agatha immediately came up with a great plan. She said, "Of course I know the way to Zeroth, and I am ready to lead you in. But the first step, we have to set up a coven." Agatha had taken advantage of the legend of Zeroth, tricking witches to gather, then declaring some didn't deserve to enter Zeroth, deliberately leading them to attack her. Taking that opportunity, Agatha absorbed their power. It is still said, a way to win the whole world. Agatha had relied on this fascinating legend to kill countless witches dreaming of achieving their desires. Until she was going to replay the old plan to trap and kill Lilia with others, Zeroth really appeared. Only Agatha knew this road should not exist, so she realized Billy was not ordinary. The scene returned to now. Billy, after understanding everything, was shocked. The cold laughter of Agatha rang in his ear. Billy wanted to confirm his thoughts. Did I create Theroth and indirectly cause Mrs. David, Alice, and Lilia to die? Agatha explained. Alice was killed by me, and Lilia's death was her own choice. As for Mrs. David, I did not intend that. Agatha comforted Billy. At least he saved one person. Meanwhile, at Westview, Jen emerged from a grassland, looking at the sunset as if she had just been reborn. She used magic to leave this place. Agatha said frankly, "The first day, I was about to kill them in the basement. On the contrary, the Zeroth that he created helped them find enlightenment and brought new life to Jen." After that, Agatha told Billy something she once told her son hundreds of years ago. If you want to become a witch, you must get used to this feeling. After that, Billy returned to Westview. He walked into the basement of Agatha to discover the gate leading to the road still there. Billy drew a sigil on the floor. Agatha asked, "What are you going to do?" But Billy did not answer. Agatha did not want to disturb more, but the pendant she always carried was in Billy's hands. If she could not regain it, she couldn't leave. At this time, Agatha looked at the entire scene. She realized Billy wanted to open a portal. People should go to where they belong. Billy didn't care about Agatha's vanity or justifications. He continued his spell without moving. Really, because I could not face him. It turned out Agatha was afraid to face Nicholas. She picked up the necklace and put it on again. Billy also felt Agatha's love for the boy. Finally, the two of them reached an agreement. Billy agreed to let Agatha stay with him as a ghost. He also recited the mantra to seal the ultimate, and engraved the names of those who died on the ground. When one door closes, another door opens. Both would look for Tommy together, starting a new journey. What do you think about this series? Leave your opinion below so I know, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and watch my other videos. Bye!